Item number 4, presentations. We do have a presentation tonight. We'll receive a presentation by the Peninsula Corridor Joint Powers Board on progress of the San Bruno Caltrain grade separation project.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Todd McIntyre, Community Relations Manager with the Office of Public Affairs at Caltrain. Can everyone hear me okay? Louder? Okay. So tonight we were asked to come in and present to the Council what we were planning to take to the community to discuss the San Bruno grade separation project. We have a meeting scheduled, and announcements are in process and will go out next Wednesday, March 31st from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Bel Air School at 453rd Ave. We had spoken with staff, and they asked us to also do another meeting a little further along in the process around the September time frame to continue to keep the community informed. The presentation that we have here tonight is very similar to what you all have received from, I believe, Rafael Bolan and Liria Lorano some months ago. We just wanted to kind of go back over the project goals, which are to eliminate the traffic bottleneck there at San Bruno and to enhance safety for both motorists and pedestrians with several several automobile and pedestrian-only crossings being constructed through this project. I believe this also supports the goals of San Bruno downtown revitalization efforts as well. To talk first about the auto and pedestrian safety, the vehicular crossings that will be constructed are at Angus Avenue, San Mateo, and San Bruno Avenues. They will have pedestrian access as well, and then we will have pedestrian-only undercrossings or underpasses at Sylvan, at the new station location, and at Euclid Avenue. There were some questions earlier on about some of the right-of-way considerations, and we just wanted to reiterate that the project is within the Caltrain right-of-way. There will be a small take at Melody Toyota, just a little bit of, I believe it's a parking lot, and we will have to relocate some of the parking at Artichoke Joe's, and then we will need some temporary construction easements, and we'll have, for instance, some one-way traffic, I believe on First Ave for some portions of the project. To talk about the project schedule a little bit, we are currently in the limited notice to proceed phase for the box culvert and utility relocation portion of the project, which is sort of the precursor to the full grade separation project. We would expect that construction would start beginning in May, and we would have notices going out to the community a couple of weeks ahead of time, and then on a weekly basis. Our weekly construction notice is then emailed to all of our city partners and others. Our construction contract for the full grade separation project is currently in process and going out to bid. The grade separation contract award would happen in July, and we expect construction to begin about October of this year after the box culvert portion concludes. There will be a couple of street closures throughout the process. The first will be around the fall of this year. It's Scott Avenue, and then there will be one in the spring of 2011, but we will have more information on the exact time frame and street once the full contract is awarded. And then the full construction should end about summer of 2012. The next series of slides have to do with the construction phasing. I believe this is a series that you all had seen primarily before, but many of the public may not have. We start out showing the alignment on which the tracks currently lie. The next page then shows shifting over to what is the shoe fly. We construct tracks next to the current alignment, which will allow us to move the train over while and continue to run service while the grade separation is being constructed. The next slide, we see the beginning of the, we see the train running on that shoe fly, and then after that, we start to see the series of grade separation construction and underpass construction there at the station location, as well as the pillars and things that will go into the streets as supports for the grade separation and the bridge portion. We can go and just show. This slide shows essentially the majority of the grade separation being completed with our two-track alignment here. And this is essentially where we would end in summer of 2012. And we have sort of an option here. What we have been tasked with doing is designing a project that ensures that we are good stewards of the public funds and the San Mateo County TA funds that are going into this project by not precluding high-speed rail should it come through here on this alignment. We don't know what their ultimate plans are, but we've been asked to make sure to design and construct this project so it does not preclude that. Should it not, then we would just build a northbound platform and station structure over there. But if it does come, then there is adequate space within the right-of-way to allow for a 4-track structure on which those additional trains can run. Go ahead. And this is sort of the final hypothetical possibility as to how that might look. We'll take you through a few of the project renderings, which have been updated since the time that you have last seen them. We have sort of a view of Posey Park here, and Caltrain staff and city staff have worked together to look at a few different possibilities for textured and colored stone pavings here, and vertical finishes as well. Next, we show San Mateo Avenue and again a portion of Posey Park. This is looking northbound. The next view is from the First Avenue side looking north. Just wanted to point out that we have basically looked at drought-tolerant plantings in association with city goals of low maintenance and making sure that we're good environmental stewards as well as ivy and things to cover up the portions of the wall as well. Then we just have a few more views. The next is a little bit far away, but shows kind of portions of the parking lot and the station on the eastern side there at San Bruno Avenue and San Mateo Avenue. Southbound platform on the station, actually looking north. Northbound platform, then looking south. On the left, you'll see one of the shafts for, I believe, the elevators that are a portion of the project that were part of the discussions with the Citizens Advisory Committee and city staff. And then this is just another look at that if there were sort of a 4-track option there. Some of the key features, again, that we worked with city staff and the CAC on are the station elevators, the straightening of Angus Avenue, enhanced lighting under the bridges and underpasses, variable surface finishes, particularly to break up sort of the verticality of the grade separation structure, which we try to put an example of on the left bottom there. Drought-resistant plantings, as I mentioned before, the water feature at Posey Park, and the decorative street furniture and waste receptacles, which we've been talking about recently with staff, and I understand may be part of sort of additional efforts at revitalization of the downtown area. Lastly, we're just including our contact information, our Office of Public Affairs. We're the primary contact. We do have a dedicated construction outreach and information number at 650-508-7726, and we have set up a dedicated email address specifically for this project, sbgradesep@caltrain.com. And I will conclude there and take any questions. Thank you.
What do you have planned to keep the public informed on a daily basis, weekly basis? Newsletters, what kind of thing?
What we normally do is a couple weeks before construction gets started, we send out a formal notice that's mailed out, and then we also email that to city officials, including police and fire, because there are times at which it may require rerouting or things like that. We also maintain a website at www.caltrain.com where our capital projects are listed, and we will have information that's continuously updated on the San Bruno grade separation project. It will also be integrated into our weekly construction notice that includes major projects as well as general maintenance that goes on the Caltrain right of way.
Will you have a point person?
I am he.
You're the one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I just want to emphasize how important it is. We've had other big projects in this city, and and the outreach and the information that the contractors have relayed to the public has just been a real help. Okay. So I want to make sure you're right on top of it. Otherwise, they call me and us, and we call you.
We will be on top of it.
All right. Any other
Thank you.
questions
And
for?
I have my cards for anyone who'd like them as well.
Yeah. Mr. McIntyre? Ken?
To the chair.
Yes.
When you explain your outreach, and what residents will be contacted directly? I mean, will there be a mailing or something?
Yeah, there's a mailing that's about a quarter mile from the right of way on each side. And if you'd like us to do more than we're happy to.
Okay, so
take
staff
those
will work
suggestions.
with you to get an idea of how many of those residents will be contacted, and if we wanted to broaden it,
Sure.
we can do that accordingly.
Yes.
Will there be some form of, I mean, I'm looking out at this audience, and I don't know how many people know what we're even talking about, but we're elevating tracks, and there's going to be, if not a larger project, but as involved project as when BART came through. And it's in the same area and the same type of disruptions, congestions, and all that stuff. So will there be an area where they can pass by and say, okay, here's the contact information or something?
Yes, on our major construction projects, we also have sort of this sign that says what the project is, the funding partners,
Okay.
And has the contact information as well.
Okay. And at this first informational meeting that you're going to have at Bel Air, that's going to be just the initial introduction and what to expect with these with this box culvert construction?
Yes, and then like I said, we'll have a follow-on notice that will come and speak specifically about that box culvert construction prior to it starting.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, through the chair.
Irene?
Thank you. Could you go back to your renderings, please? And I'm sorry, I don't see the water feature in here. You say there's a water feature at Posey Park, but where is it?
There is, and we have tried repeatedly to get our consultant to show that in the rendering itself, but we're not able to get that. But it is in the plans and will be built.
But where would it be?
So these two views it actually follows the ramp. So what you're looking at on your lower right is the ramp, and against that is sort of the cascading, what appears to be steps is essentially the cascading water feature. So it's a fountain followed by a series of steps, if you will, that sort of draw the water down to a pool.
Okay.
And then there's a second water feature that's not visible in this view.
Go back one. Go back one. Back one. Oh no, that was the completed 4-track. Yeah, you can see briefly over in the right-hand corner. The green area is where the water is.
Right.
And there's a second one in the transit center as well, which is slightly smaller than the one you see. But yeah, that view in the top right, you can see how the water feature effectively follows the curve of the architectural ramp, and it sort of sits at the back of the new expanded Posey Park.
Okay. Not to be nitpicky or anything, but is there been thought about how to keep the trash out and to keep that as lovely as it should look? Is that our responsibility? Is that going to be your responsibility? Do we get to call someone when people throw chewing gum in there and clog up the works?
You're asking about who maintains and what mechanisms are in there?
Yes.
So,
Raphael, why don't you speak into the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Better? Okay, so the specifics of who will maintain what is actually still being negotiated with staff as part of the C&M agreement that we're going to do. So I can't really answer who will be maintaining it at this time until that's finalized. But the concept would be, of course, we would have, in areas that the JPB will maintain, we have an overall contract for station maintenance. And so they would be the ones responsible for doing things like that.
Okay. And then in a rendering I saw a while back, could you go back to the view of Posey Park? The first, I think it's the first one right after project, yes. The rendering I saw had the different finishing in different colors. It had a pink and it was much more appealing, I thought, than
The pavement.
Yeah, the pavement
Right.
part, or and it was a sidewalk and the pavement. It was kind of a.
Correct. I actually have samples right here. I can show you of our pavers. But you're referring to the enhanced architectural on the concrete itself, or?
Yes.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this view is seen somewhat from an elongated point of view. I mean, it's as if the camera was drawn back. So what you're really seeing is probably not, I agree with you, the best possible view of Posey Park you could have. And as Todd alluded to, that has been a continuous issue in this, is getting better views that better express that. But yeah, essentially what you'll see in Posey Park is you'll see a series, you can see a little bit on the ground there, are a series of enhanced paving types that sort of meet and form a pattern. And then that'll be accentuated by obviously some planting and some an assembly area with some benches, etc., that will be sitting around there.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Through the chair. Just on the note, the councilman asked about trash. I'm also concerned as far as when it comes to maintenance and graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
Cleanliness, utilizing the type of paints or whatever we are that
Right.
tries to reduce, we have an expectation in this community that when it goes up, it comes down.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ensure that that goes forward for this project as well. We don't want to spend the effort, the time, and the resources and then have something stay up.
Right.
And obviously there are things on the market that can be utilized that can help assist us on both sides to ensure that this project remains a beautiful addition to the community. So I'd like to have that.
Yeah, no, actually that's a very good point. Graffiti abatement was one of the things we looked at quite a bit in this project. So we're addressing it in a number of ways. One of which is through some of the planting that you saw on some of these slides by actually encouraging planting on the wall itself. That typically discourages a lot of the more overt acts of vandalism that you may see. And we've had a lot of success with that and some of our other grade crossings. This kind of one of the second things that we're doing is what you mentioned is there are products, as you know, it's essentially an applicable film that what it does is it does not prevent somebody from if they choose to vandalize a piece of public architecture. However, what it becomes is much easier to remove it rather than having to sandblast or paint over. I'm sure you've all seen locations where someone's painted over one patch and it's always visible. What this allows to do is actually just remove it without having to resort to those measures. And those types of materials are included in the specifications and will be required of the contractor.
Thank you.
I have one more
Yes.
question. When you're contacting people, and I assume you're going to do this, well, sorry, wrong people. We have a lot of either non-English speaking or
Right.
limited English speaking people in that area. I'm
Mhm.
assuming you're going to do more than just English
Right.
for when you notify people.
Yeah, that's something that we typically do on mailers for areas with a high percentage of non-English speaking. I'm assuming that in this case, would Spanish be the other predominant language? Is that?
I don't know about predominant, that's one of them.
Okay.
There's-
Well, we could certainly
the
talk with
Tongan
staff
is another.
and figure out based on the areas that, obviously the intent is to you know, contact the most number of people, so it doesn't benefit us if somebody can't actually understand what we're saying, so.
And
Exactly.
we'll get future materials translated, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Any other questions? See, we have a couple of members of the public would like to ask a question.
I would hope that the city would take the position to put the contact slide, their last slide, on the Channel 1 and almost run it every day so that it's always there instead of just sporadically, because we need to have that available as much as we can.
All right, thank you.
Robert Rico, 7th Avenue for the clerk.
For the record, please state your name and your street name.
My name is Michael Garvey. I live at 60 Walton Street in San Carlos.
Mhm.
And I'm actually here as the outreach coordinator for the high-speed rail project. And if no other members of the public wanted to comment directly on these plans and renderings, then I'd like to talk a little bit about high-speed rail and how we're trying to coordinate with this project.
Well, it should be very brief because we're just getting a report tonight on
Okay.
Our grade separation, so I don't want to muddy up the works.
Good.
So-
Well, then I'll try and be very brief and answer questions, perhaps. The first thing I wanted to assure Council is that we are working closely with the Joint Powers Board on planning all the grade separations and work that they're doing. We're coordinating as closely as possible to, assuming both projects go forward, and it looks like your grade separation is in excellent position, and assuming high-speed rail goes forward at some point, we would like the minimum amount of change to the project as approved. And as you've noted in the plans, it does contain features that ease the burden upon your community if high-speed rail comes through. It will not come for some time, and this project ought to be completed well before it. In the interest of brevity, then, let me just say that I'm working with the firm that's doing the environmental documents for the San Jose to San Francisco piece, and we are about to issue something called the Alternatives Analysis Report, which will list for the entire stretch of the corridor the different options that will be evaluated for how to build high-speed rail. As part of that, once we have that report issued, which will be on April the 8th, we're also preparing what we're calling a toolkit. We'd like to work with the city staffs, and then in our outreach effort, we'd like to empower people with all this complicated information that they'll have to sift through in order to be effectively heard about their wishes for how this project ought to be built, or their opposition to the project. We're keeping this open-ended, of course. We're early in that process. The high-speed rail has been around now for some years, and a lot of folks are believing we're farther forward than we are. We're not that far along yet. We hope to have a draft of the full environmental document by the end of this calendar year, and that schedule will be tight because of all the public hearings and outreach that we intend to do. We're also in anticipation of a question you may have. We are preparing an entire track in multiple languages. We're going through the census tracts now and gathering information about the dominant languages in different neighborhoods, and we're going to make an all-out effort to translate this information so that everyone can hear the information early on in the process. At the end of the day, our product is an environmental document. I know the council is very familiar with that, but the public may not be aware that that document will talk about the advantages and disadvantages, the impacts of all the different options for the entire 46 miles we are studying, that is from downtown San Jose to downtown San Francisco. And that will be released then, and there'll be 9 or 10 months for public comment on that document. And at the end of the day, when we have completed this report, we present it to the California High-Speed Rail Authority, and then just as the City Council is able to act after you're given a completed environmental impact report, they will be empowered to take action. That is slated to occur at the end of next year. If you have any questions, I'd be very pleased to answer them, but I just wanted to say we're looking forward to working with your staff. We met today with a lot of the technical folks, and San Bruno's staff was there to outline the process and to begin the work. And on April the 8th, the invitation has not yet gone out. It should go out today or tomorrow. We're inviting the council members appointed by each of the city councils to a meeting to talk about the alternatives analysis. And Councilmember O'Connell will look forward to seeing you in San Carlos on the night of April the 8th. And I will apologize at this point we've had several breakdowns in communication, and I apologize for that. We're trying to improve it and perfect the whole system.
All right, thank you very much. And I would encourage you, when things get more formal as we go along, to come back and do a more formal presentation for the City Council.
I'd be very pleased to do that.
Be great. Thank you. Irene?
Two things. Mike, before you go, I believe April 8th is also a CCAG meeting at 7, so, no, 6:30. I'm a member of CCAG. I don't know if any of your ever the representatives are, so I don't know if you want to.
I'll have to research that. I did talk with the executive director, and he didn't raise that issue. I know April is the retreat meeting, the annual retreat, so perhaps it's a different schedule.
Okay.
But I will
don't
follow
think
up.
So. Okay, thank
you.
And then
I
I
sure
have.
hope that isn't so. We could add one more communication breakdown.
I could be wrong, but I'm.
Then one more question for Todd.
Yeah, I just, you have the garbage cans here, which are lovely.
Yes.
Are you going to do recycling cans as well that are equally as lovely?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Say yes.
Look at our PM to make sure.
Yes, nice ones.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Shall I ask a question now?
Please, if it's regarding the grade separation.
I didn't know
Right.
which way to go. Rose Erbach, San Bruno, first edition. And what I want to know is what are the impacts of these trains, the speed and the slower one, and all these good things that are going to happen in the area that I live, which is San Bruno Park, first edition, between San Bruno Avenue and 380 and El Camino and the railroad track. That square, what are the impacts? And the noise. I live by a railroad, so I know that there's noise.
Todd McIntyre again from Caltrain. Well, the impacts, we believe, though there will be some temporary impacts during construction, will be mostly positive. Improved traffic, emergency response times, things due to San Bruno. That's right, and that traffic would not be backed up anymore once the grade separation is complete.
It takes out from San Bruno, runs to Euclid, and then gets to El Camino.
Okay.
And it adds up. Euclid, you know about it.
Okay, we don't want to have a big debate here tonight,
Okay.
but I
Also,
think it's safe to
we'll
say
just,
that
we'll
Todd
just say
can
that
get
I'm
back
sure
to
that
you.
everyone
Todd,
is-
have him bypass Rose's house and you'll be fine.
remembers when we had a little issue with our horns last year. The grade separating these different crossings will actually reduce the need to blow at each crossing and things like that. There will be some horns that have to be blown sort of as trains enter and leave the station, but it will not be to the extent that it was before. So that would be another positive.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your presentation.